Mike Altamura, welcome back for our third edition of A Ringside Seat with Tassie. It's great to have you back, mate. We're just in Japan together. And, mate, you are on the... Pretty much everyone's talking about the manager of the year, and I think that's going to be you, mate, because you've had a good start to the year. You've got your fighters some great fights, and welcome back, mate. And I hope you're enjoying being back in the hot seat.
That is a wonderful introduction, and although I know every sentiment of that is heartfelt, before we get to any of that conversation, Grant Tassie Brown, I want to know what on earth you were doing in the dressing room with Naoya the Monster Inoue when you were supposed to be there. You're my bestie. You're supposed to be there, part of my camp, Yejun Kim, and yet 5 minutes through the process of inspecting Inoue's wraps, I glance over my left shoulder and I see ensconced amongst members of the Ahashi gym, you, Tassie Brown, sitting there, trying to hide in a corner, literally an Aussie in a sea full of Japanese in red tracksuits. What were you thinking, Taz? Why were you with Inoue?
Okay, so this has been the talk of the town ever since. There's been a lot of songs made about it. There's been some karaoke. There's been
a little bit.
Why
were you with Inoue?
Well, it is pretty catchy, actually, and I've actually sang it myself. But look, there's a lot of talk, and there's been a lot of questions I've messaged. Why was you with Inoue? Even the great Billy Hussein, the master coach, he said, "Why was you with Inoue?" Cut long story, I was trying to be inconspicuous. I was trying not to stand out, but I guess when I was in a room full of Japanese people, it didn't go down
in
too
red
well.
tracksuits, mind
Yeah, yeah. So, look, this is all I can say is this, Mike. I seen you walking. You are my bestie, so I followed you in. Like I follow you anywhere. I'm your man. I back you. I'm like your private security. If you mess with Mike, you mess with Tassie Brown. Just for anyone out there that decides to mess with Mike, you mess with me. Just to make that clear. Anyway, I followed you up, and I mean that. Please try, because I'd love to, hammer someone one day soon. So anyway, here you are, Mike. I'll follow you in. I'll take a seat. I didn't know you can only have one person inspect the wraps. I've been to some big fights, but I haven't been involved where I'm in the changes of a world title fight. I sat down there. I was just chilling, and then explain to me what went on from there.
I don't believe a word you just said, but anyways, I think the reality is, look, your heart and soul is always with my team. But my fighter, respectfully, wasn't coming in as the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, a generational talent. And I think you just wanted to be closer to get a glimpse of the monster, just to feel part of that team, see how it feels to be around such an outstanding talent. And you took whatever measure it was. Now, you say you followed me in. You must have the fleetest and the lightest feet since Fred Astaire, because I never even seen you trailing us there. But, all right, so the process. I see Tassie Brown. I was like, okay, I'm not going to draw any attention to it. So I'm there chit-chatting with the monster. You know, he's actually quite intricate. We'll get onto this maybe later, but Inoue actually starts his own wraps himself.
Yeah, I've seen
they allow tape on the skin.
Yeah.
One layer. He started that. He wrapped his wrists. Then he was doing the tape. Then the trainer brought the gauze. Inoue measured the gauze. They were starting a gauze process. It's when they got to the gauze that I glance over my shoulder and see Tassie. Now, I had multiple decisions to make. The first thing I was thinking is, what the fuck is he doing there? But I just kind of pushed that aside. I was like, okay, let me just say nothing. So I just focused on the task ahead like a true professional. Now, it's about 5 minutes later, Masa Ueda, who's like a no-nonsense kind of character, but a wonderful person.
Yeah, he's a good guy. And he works for the promoter.
He works for Tekken Promotions. So
and
he's
Mr.
like
Honda.
Coordinator for Mr. Honda.
Yeah.
He walks over to me. He goes, Mike, what is the Aussie guy doing in here? And I'm like, which Aussie guy? And he's like, your friend. I'm like, which friend? Where is he? He goes, he's over there. I look over my shoulder, acting as though I hadn't seen Tassie 5 minutes earlier. I was like, why is he here? I can't ask the question. And Masa's like, I don't know what he's here, but he has to leave. I'm like, you tell him to leave. So then Masa trots over. I don't know what he suggested to Tassie, but then I see Tassie saunter out of the room. Because again, I didn't want to draw attention that I'm walking over there and saying, you know what, Taz, you shouldn't actually be here. And then it just kind of went to the back of my mind. And then later that night, about 2 a.m., when I'm sitting in karaoke with Matt Huff, who's been a long-time investor in Yang Kim.
Great guy.
A wonderful
great guy.
person, wonderful
Champion.
person. And, big part of the United Fight team, which
Yeah.
is why guys like him and fighters like Thiago Muxanga and
Yeah.
Blessing Data and these fighters we have coming through.
No, he's a really good
Have
guy.
opportunities. So we hit I Want It That Way at the karaoke, and I was like, I just wasn't feeling the vibe of the music, and I was like, you know what, it's not I Want It That Way by the Backstreet Boys. I'm like, why the fuck was Tassie Brown in the dressing room with Inoue?
Yeah.
And then it just kind of extended from there. I was like, firstly, how did he actually find his way in? Why was he there? I don't actually believe his intentions. So even when you say to me, I was in the dressing room because, I thought that you could have a secondary person. And I think even, this is what I believe in my heart of hearts. Even if I wasn't present at that event, I think you would have found the way into Inoue's room regardless. So I don't know what the intention is, but I'm not buying your excuse.
Yeah.
Now, here's the other thing that people have read of me in the industry. And I think that, especially coming from our side of the world, there's a reason why I started smashing you with this at the top of the program. I think one thing we do as Australians really well is we've held on to a little bit of that jovial kind of larrikin nature, which is really a big fabric of our society.
We're taking the piss out of each other.
Yeah, exactly. And like
good.
so I had people messaging me, when I dropped the track, are you really upset at Tassie? I said, look, it's slightly annoying only because it was in Japan, and Japan is so proper and processed. And so if anything were to transpire, it becomes my responsibility. Even like if my fighter missed weight by 200 grams, I would go from being the hero of the day who rescued the show to being the arch villain.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So that's the pressure you feel. But I said, my way of registering, quote unquote, my disappointment or my disapproval is the diss tracks. So I smashed you with about 85 diss tracks from Ed Sheeran to Backstreet Boys to Van Morrison's Brown Eyed Girl. We found the way with that. And then I was like, you know what? Tassie actually makes boxing life a lot more interesting. I think if you don't have this energy, if everyone's just very, very proper and very serious, and the guys that know me, that really know me, most people in boxing just know the persona of what you hear on these podcasts.
Yeah, of course.
An identity of, I'm a boxing manager, I work with this fighter, that fighter, that. At the end of the day, when life is said and done, none of that is really relevant.
Nah.
That's part of a legacy.
Yeah.
But it's the energy of what you bring to those around you. And I believe in the energy I bring to this world. So if someone's like part of my inner circle, I'm pretty like chilled, I'm pretty laid back, I'm fun. I try to be fun. I try to not take life too serious.
Like you said to me, we said to someone, I wouldn't be making a song about it if I was upset with him.
100%.
Like, you know what I mean?
So that's my way in jest of hitting you with the receipt without needing to.
You're bombarding me, mate.
Tassie shouldn't be doing that. I don't approve. I don't really care. It's just the fact that it was in Japan.
Yeah, I know.
If the fact it was in Japan, and I know that, it's just such a rigid structure.
I've enjoyed them, but I've enjoyed every one of them. And you got the young boys involved too. The two,
Jackson and Callum dropped their track.
Yeah.
So for the listeners, I gave them basically the chorus and the verse, and chorus and the verse.
Yeah.
For I Want It That Way, aka Why Was Tassie in the Dressing Room with Inoue?
Yeah.
And these two boys did it in like pure harmony, just completely crucified.
Yeah, you did.
So I think that we've taken it far enough. I think now that I've executed you on that, and look, I'll say this for everyone. This is, again, if you see Tassie in the dressing room, not with Crawford because he's mates with Crawford, but if he's in the dressing room with Canelo, if he's there with Usyk, who are the other, even Joshua. Joshua's such a big
big name,
in the sport. With any of these fighters that are considered pound for pound ilk, just know that he probably wasn't supposed to be in there, but you have to respect his hustle. Yeah.
Well, it was a bit reminding me before we wrap this one up. It sort of reminded me of the Mortal Kombat game, the fatality. Get over here, and then you've done whatever you've done to me. But look, those that know me know that look, I'm a boxing person, and I was there doing some media for Fight Hype, plus supporting Mike and Jun as well in the team. But I mean, look, I am a guy that adds a bit of colour to things. I am a guy that doesn't take himself too seriously. Sometimes I do, but sometimes I don't. and I'm all about. I will push the envelope. I will.
Yeah.
If you give me an inch, I will take a mile.
100%.
You know, and that's the thing. And I mean, look, you only live once, and a young guy from Tasmania, Ray Mornington, where I'm proud to come from, the fact that I'm there at a Inoue fight, interviewing Inoue, and he knows who I am. You know, he acknowledged, you know, my you know, the compliments I said about him being a generational talent and a future pound for pound great of all time, especially in the lower divisions. I said, and about how Japan should, you know, be happy or be, how can I say, enjoy the ride while he's here, because when he retires, and you know, there'll be probably a while before they have another in a way. So the fact that I interviewed Bob Arum, and Bob Arum said the question about Pacquiao and Inoue, about their, you know, about the, you know, between them both, you know, the how can you say, Mike, the word the familiar about them, the formalities, or just about, you know, the comparison between. He said that went viral yesterday. Good question. So that was from Bob Arum. So I mean, like,
and that was and again for people wanting context. So Tassie came over to Japan as really like one of the few Western journalists. And what I find with the Japanese boxing media from past experience is the questions are very dry. So what's your condition like? How was your sparring been like? What are your tactics? What is your preparation? They're very close-ended questions. And I felt that, like, at the final presser, Tassie actually brought an energy of asking the kind of questions that are going to gain traction for worldwide media and actually make it interesting. So it's not just another, Inoue's fighting this guy that most people believe he's going to be able to handle. So it readjusted the narrative of how the fight was processed coming in.
Well, for Bob Arum to give me that compliment, and also too, every media outlet ran with that question, but didn't really give me a compliment that I was my question. Headlines everywhere. Bob Arum speaks on Inoue better than Pacquiao, and that was everywhere. Like Ring Magazine, secondhouse.com, every forum you could think of, but they didn't sort of, you know, give me that I was
if you ask a question in an open forum, it becomes ownership of the public.
Oh, there you go. Okay, there you go. You've explained it there and then. Thanks. I'm still learning about this, but look, it was great. I mean, as I said, and the fact that I did ask 3 questions in a row and they could not get the microphone off me.
You hijacked the microphone.
I made the news that night. Your friend Master, what's his name? Master what?
Which Master Ueda?
Yeah, he said to me, you were on the news tonight about Australian hijacks. Inoue presser.
Imagine they found out you hijacked Inoue's dressing room.
Yeah, and then the next day I was in the Japanese paper, in Japanese writing, obviously, which the bloke translated to me, saying just, you know, how I tried to get the crowd to do 3 cheers in a way, but I heard crickets. The Japanese didn't get into it like they did with the Fury. So I'm known for hijacking the couple. I done an interview with Spencer Brown recently. He's a great friend of mine and he's a legend. And he said, you know, you're very respected by our camp. And Tyson Fury often mentions how you obviously stuck up for us at the press conference. But I hijacked that one as well. I mean, like, at the end of the day, if I got a microphone, it's very hard to get it out of my grasp.
So a note for Japanese media: just don't give Tassie the microphone ever. And
Pretty
you'll be
much.
okay.
Yeah.
And make sure you carefully lock your dressing room doors.
But personally, before we move on, thanks so much for your hospitality while I was there, Mike, making things, you know, so easy for me. You know, it was just a dream because it was a bucket list. I always wanted to go to Japan, and I always wanted to see the Monster fight there. So he's going to be in Vegas, and I think even Saudi soon. So I don't know if probably could have been the last chance for me to actually see him and to be there, part of a team that's actually fighting him to get the special privileges. I really want to thank you as a friend.
You know, like, look, we've ridden a lot of storms together in this life, Tassie.
Yeah.
And you know my backstory.
Yep.
Away from this platform of, like I said, what people perceive as my life and my identity.
Yep.
You know the authentic self.
Sure do.
Of what I am and what I project and a lot of the things I've had to overcome in recent years. And so this is how I look at it, right? For people that have been there to actually uplift you throughout your life and impact your life, rather than take the veil in life of this person wasn't there or this person didn't support me or this didn't happen, I didn't feel all that. I think that what we need to gravitate to in our lives is gratitude, and start every day with gratitude. So a big part of my existence with gratitude, I'll give you an example. Like my second eldest brother, he probably follows the fight game closer than I do, in the sense that I follow it close, but I'm entrenched in the business. If I were to step out of the business, not saying I will, because this is actually, you know, it's ingrained in my soul. But if I was to step out of the business, he probably would follow the higher end fights more than I would, in the sense he would watch more of them live. I would watch them on demand. I'd watch them in my own time and that. So, like for him, he had never been to like a major fight abroad. So when he called me and said he was thinking of bringing his wife over for Inoue versus TJ Doheny, who of course I managed TJ.
Yeah, well, I want to say on that, the last two opponents for Inoue, they've been your fighters.
Let's hope it'll be the next three.
Yeah,
you know, we can be 0-3.
It's you and Shaw Gibbons. It's you and Shaw Gibbons. Viva. Shout out to Shaw Gibbons, legend, one of the best guys in boxing. Viva, Sean.
Well, let me get back on track with what I was saying. So like for my brother to come over there and for him to say, okay, how much are the ringside tickets? I was like, no, don't worry about it. You know, don't worry about it. I got you.
That's awesome.
And not only were they not ringside, it's the same position you were sitting, Taz.
Next to Bob Arum.
It's like literally you're in the ring enclosure. So that's like courtside tickets at the NBA. But you can't even buy these. They're not for sale. So to be able to place him first row, like 3-4 seats in, him and his wife, come over there and experience a fight of that magnitude, that's something that stays with you for the rest of their days. And so the same, like I said, with someone like you, a loyal soldier who's been there for me every step of the way, if you hit me up and say, I want to come over to Japan, of course I'm going to get your press credentials sorted. Of course I'm going to get your tickets sorted. Of course I'm going to try and, you know, immerse you with the team as much as possible. Until the moment that you step into our opponent's dressing room and appear to be completely ensconced with his side of the fence. However, even still knowing all that, I just think that you got to carry your tribe with you everywhere you step, and that's really what giving back in life should be. Yeah, no,
well, it meant a lot, Mike, and what a great experience. Your guy had a crack. You know, anyway,
100%. Look, I said it coming in. We were 20-1 underdog. You know, we could have been a 50-1 underdog, you know, if you really looked at late notice, 13 days, everything. But Yejun Kim, I mean, you know, raised an orphan, never adopted. He's been a fighter and a battler all his life. And our one mantra with the camp was, you know, would rather die on our feet than survive on our knees. You know, I think, you know, there's fighters that went in there with Inoue and just went to survive. Yeah. And went there to last and go rounds. We went there to win the fight. We went there to change our lives. You know, a rematch in that fight might be worth $2-3 million. We went there to give it a red hot crack. And you better go out with a blaze of glory and for the fight to end how it did, which was a KO loss in round 4, than to go in there passively trying to hold and move and never actually commit to your punches and never actually give yourself a chance to win. At least Jun was trying to time and punch with Inoue. He timed him quite a few times down the center with the left hand.
He did.
Inoue's just such an intelligent operator that he just kept managing to catch and roll and slip with the shots and absorb the blows. But, man, you know, never die wondering. You know, as if you go through life with that mantra, you're going to be a winner more times than most.
100%, mate. Look, I was proud to be there supporting him. He's a lovely young man, and I'm sure he'll get some more big fights soon. And, it's just crazy that you've managed both guys now and you saved the show because when Sam Goodman got the second cut, you know, you got the phone call, and I believe he was in South Kenya at the time, and you got the phone call, and
I didn't know what hit me. I didn't know what hit me because I'd been asleep for 5 minutes and it was 2:03 in the morning.
Yeah. So I mean, but yeah, look, unbelievable, Mike, and you know, but we'll move on now. Boxing, obviously, you know, there's some big fights spoken about recently. Well, how did you think of the David Benavidez and Morrell? Is a good fight the other day.
What a terrific fight, man! It's not often like, I'm not saying like they're the highest profile stars coming through. So it's not like, if you look at really the fights that were able to transcend boxing to an extent. So Mayweather Pacquiao, that was a great technical fight, but it didn't live up to expectation.
No,
this fight had a lot of industry buzz. It didn't have buzz outside the industry, but people in the industry knew that Morrell, what was he, 10-0, 11-0, but he's a real deal. He's a real skilled fighter, very talented, good skills, good timing, left-handed. And Benavidez has that habit of trying to force the pace and squaring up and can be timed down the center. So stylistically, it was a really intriguing fight coming in. you figured neither of them, like the last fight, both of them made their light heavyweight debuts. And
both looked sort of a
both
bit
of them
average.
like Morel fought Radovaj Kaladzik, Hot Rod. And, of course, Benavidez fought Vocek, and both of them won, but it was slightly underwhelming in the public's eyes. So both combatants come in with a lot of expectation. I just thought it was a terrific fight. I thought that Benavidez was able to fight the bout on his terms more. He was able to draw Morel into trying to punch with him and into exchanges and go with him with volume, which is, again, David Benavidez' whole game. But Morel showed a lot of character. He had a late round surge. He come back a little bit, had a flash knockdown. He scored in the 11th and made it a little bit tighter. But I thought that fight was everything that's good about boxing.
Yeah.
Two kids under 30 years of age, unbeaten records, laying it all on the line and going in and delivering, man, and fighting with courage. And I was so happy at the end of the fight after all the trash talking leading in to see that real warm embrace between both of them.
Yeah, me too. Not as much with his manager, but I think he's a Gooseman's manager. But Benavidez, mate, look, it was a risky fight for Benavidez. I mean, to take on a guy who's not really known outside boxing, only 12 fights or whatever, but I mean, look, but can fight Morel. So I think, when he's in the sweepstakes, I mean, look, I don't know if he's giving up on the Canelo fight, but he's still been mentioned around Canelo. He's mentioned around Bivol, Benavidez winner. I think it was a dangerous fight for him. And the fact that he did fight so well against a really good fighter who's not really really get his praise for beating Morel in the industry, yes, but in outside industry, no. Yeah. But if he did happen to lose to Morel, that would have put him back a bit. So I think it was a really ballsy to even take the fight.
Yeah.
Look, for Morel, he had everything to gain, nothing to lose. But for Benavidez, he had a lot to lose. So I think he is the Mexican monster. It's a shame Canelo didn't fight him. Looks like he's moved on now, Benavidez, and that'd be a great fight to win out of him and Bivol and Benavidez. I think Bivol would probably could outbox him. Benavidez, someone's going backwards there. Someone's got to go on the back foot on that fight.
Well, you have to look at the stylistic matchups. I think that if you look at Benavidez's body of work, his best attributes, obviously, his conditioning.
Yeah.
His punch volume.
Yeah.
What I like about him is even, you seen it was at the third round, he got tagged with a straight left and got buzzed and he kept coming, man.
Yeah.
And that resolve, I hear people say, undefeated fighters don't know how to lose. No, some do know how to lose, in terms of their characteristic when they get tagged. But Benavidez really has that wherewithal that he ain't, again, like I was saying before in life, he ain't going to die wondering, man.
No.
He's going to keep coming all night and keep bringing his offense and trying to run you over until you can either stop him in his tracks or outbox him. I think both those fights stylistically, I think if you look at it from a realistic vantage point, Bivol has all the skills and characteristics that outbox Benavidez. I think that his footwork could expose Benavidez squaring up, trying to chase him, overstepping his punches. As for Benavidez don't want to be squaring up or chasing him because Benavidez hits like a Mack truck. But not just that. I've watched him live probably in the pros about 7 times. In the amateurs over 30 times. I watch him live. He's a real good technician.
Yeah.
People think he's just a monster power puncher, Russian, like a crazy strong Russian and all that. But no, he's actually a pretty good technician.
You can't be at
He's
that
got
level.
real good timing.
You can't be a world amateur champion and go to the Olympics and fight the guy and beat a guy like Usyk 1 out of 3 times. But I mean, you can't be in that league as amateur and not be a good boxer.
You'll even break down the guys he has in the professional ranks without hardly being touched. When he's supposed to be the guy that people perceive as like the Russian Tyson.
No, he's not wearing a Tour Gatti.
No, he's smart.
He's smart
and clever.
How
he closes
that's
the
right.
Range. And that's why I'll tell you the one intangible that could be overlooked with David Benavidez and all this. He's significantly younger than all these guys and fresher.
Yeah, that's a big.
He's fresher as a fighter. He's 10 years in as a professional, so in terms of how he fights, he's relatively formed in terms of his style. But in terms of his freshness of what he can bring to the big fight arena, I think there's more improvement. There's more gear, and the other guys may gradually wear out. You don't know, so that might be his little bit of a window. But I think he's earned his chance to fight the absolute best in the world.
Given the performance, look, even though. He must have been able to make once he must have been able to make the super middleweight division because he was making it beforehand, and like even though he's moved up now, Benavidez, but to say if the Canelo fight did come along and it was at super middle,
Yeah.
how do you see it playing out? Do you think he's a worthy opponent for Canelo?
Definitely is a worthy opponent because of the punch volume.
Yeah, and he's big.
Yeah. Canelo's so precise in his sharpshooting.
Yeah.
Like I've said this, and I know you'll probably cover this in the questions to come.
Mm.
I think that Canelo's Achilles heel is footwork.
Yeah.
You saw it with Mayweather.
Yeah.
You saw Lara gave him absolute hell.
He did.
And of course you saw it with Bivol. There's a really nice if you go on YouTube, there's someone filmed all 12 rounds against Bivol and Canelo from an aerial view. And if you look at how hard Bivol worked, just bouncing in and out and turning and feinting and foot feinting, you realise and you appreciate the effort it takes to knock off who at the time was a pound-for-pound king.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I see with Benavidez stylistically suits Canelo. He's going to fall into his wheelhouse to be countered and timed. But I think Canelo's team also know it's a rough guy, it's a big physical guy, and, you know, the price of admission might not be worth it. You might still win, but, you know, the battle might not be worth the cost.
Yeah.
And so that's why I think that hasn't happened to date.
So while we're on that, and you mentioned footwork, so you probably know one of my next questions.
Exactly, yeah.
How's my good friend Terence Crawford, who I'm actually bringing to Australia in the next couple of months? Spoke to Bud on FaceTime the other day, and he's looking forward to it. He wants to get out of the way sooner than later because then he will start training camp. So it looks like him and Canelo are a done deal for September.
Correct.
I know the Ring Magazine awards that Canelo and Your Excellency Turki Al-Sheh met for the first time because Canelo was sort of, I think there was a bit of back and forth and it wasn't that positive in a lot of the media interviews, but they did meet. I know Terence wasn't at the awards, but then he flew over the next day and he did say, mention my name and I appear. Alakazam, Bud arrives in London. I believe Your Excellency must have said, get on a plane. I'm close to doing this deal. So I believe from that, there's been a lot talked about. It's not official, but I think it's pretty much going to happen. How does Bud shape up against Canelo? And like you mentioned, footwork, I believe, like you said, Mayweather, Lara and Bivol, Crawford's got exactly that. And then also they say, well, 154 jumping up to 168. Well, Charlo done it and went the distance with Canelo. He got dropped, but he went the distance. Terence Crawford's twice the fighter, in my opinion, that Charlo is. Terence Crawford has got dog in him, and he won't run. He won't run just to stay away. I think he'll go down fighting. I think the speed and precision of Bud, especially if he builds up to the proper weight, which I'm sure he will with a professional team, I think it could be a Ray Leonard going up and upsetting Marvin Hagler. I believe it will. Obviously, in boxers, in everyone's eyes, it will be an upset, but I believe that he can do it. What's your opinion on that, Mike Altamura?
I know you don't acknowledge other podcasts, but I've been asked this on about 3 other podcasts. And
I don't acknowledge any other Aussie podcasts.
I'm just playing with you on that one.
Because no one has the boxing IQ I've got or have the connections. And you feel free to...
I'm just playing with you on that.
You can say something if you want, but you can...
But I was going to say, I've been consistent with everything I've said across the board, so I'm going to stay with the same mantra. I think that there's people that will try to signify that Crawford in his last fight looked a bit more human and vulnerable than he did in the Spence fight, which was the perfect fight stylistically for him, because he had a plotter who was slightly damaged coming into that fight, realistically. But you know, people played down Madrimov because they didn't know Madrimov. They don't know that Madrimov was an excellent amateur. But I also look at styles make fights. Madrimov's footwork, that bouncy
the feigning, the double feints, the triple feints.
His base fundamentals.
A lot of feigning, but a great fighter, Madrimov.
That's a style that is always going to give Crawford trouble, especially at 37 years of age.
Of course.
And Crawford did well. He dug in deep late. He won the last 2 rounds and he pulled the fight out clearly.
And his body, it didn't seem to me like, I don't know, it didn't seem to me like he sort of built into 154 just from his body. Like, I mean, I think definitely up to 168, you're going to see a lot more.
I will say this with Bud. Like, I think Canelo stylistically is tailor-made for Bud. The only intangible there's two intangibles that I see. First one is Bud's age and whether his legs slow down through the process of not being as active as what he was earlier in career, 2 or 3 fights a year at least.
Yeah.
It's only fighting once a year. The other intangible is Canelo's punching power at 168. Is that going to be telling if he lands a thudding hook or a thudding right hand or something?
But he has been
like
stopping guys lately.
No, but it's just you're looking at a guy that is, even though Bud walks around about 185, so it's not like
He's out at the moment.
going to be small. And what people were missing in the equation, I think he's stronger than Canelo on the inside.
He's a former wrestler.
Yeah, Bud has that intensity from his wrestling background, and I think he'll be able to push Canelo around inside, and it's going to shock a lot of people. So
I agree. A lot of people don't know about Bud Crawford, that he was a wrestler in school.
yeah,
He's very strong. He even mucks around with his mates and he throws them around the road dolls. He is very strong.
and so I look at that. I think he can match Canelo in there. But the intangible I see is, if Canelo lands a hook, like a counter hook or something like that, how's it going to affect him? And is that going to change the pace of the fight?
Yeah.
Assuming it doesn't, I'm strong on thinking Bud wins like 8-4. I actually think that the fight stylistically suits him. Even though Canelo's been fighting at 68, he's not a massive 68.
No,
he's 5'7.5".
Well, you got to look where he come from. He come from 154, didn't he?
Yeah, and well, that was his most successful weight.
Yeah, he was at 147, obviously.
And the other thing that I kind of look at with that too, which again, people that have been around Bud understand this. He's such a fucking competitor, man. And he's one of those guys. Madrimov maybe didn't get him up because everybody was just, Bud's going to do this, Bud's going to do that.
If he's the underdog,
the
God.
Spence fight, he was hearing it from the PBC side of the street for 5 years that he was running, he was frightened, he couldn't roll with their welterweights. And you've seen how he performed. And I remember actually early career, so a lot of people don't know this about Bud. He was fighting like an 8-round fight on the undercard, and a guy called Khabib Alakverdiev pulled out with an injury against Breeders Prescott. So Breeders Prescott's long faded now.
But he was known for knocking out Amir Khan, his first loss.
Out Amir Khan.
That's right.
That fight come up.
He could punch.
That fight come up on a few weeks' notice on HBO.
I remember watching it.
And, you know, Crawford was managed by Cameron Duncan at the time. Cameron let him know, it's just kind of, oh, look, they offered this, but was thinking, to turn it down. And Crawford pushed and insisted and said, no, give me the fight, I'll go out and outbox him. And he completely boxed the ears off the guy for 10 rounds. And I think that, so when he feels like maybe he's being ridden off or like he's got a point to prove, I think that that's what brings out the maximum in him. And I think that this is just another fight that is really going to shine the light on him. I'm hearing it's going to be in Las Vegas. Is it Allegiant Stadium, 60,000 people?
Yeah, I think that's about right. I mean, T-Mobile is massive, but Allegiant Stadium, I think it'll be huge. Yeah, and they'll do it on Mexican Independence Day or the other Mexican holiday. It'll be huge. But look, as you know, Mike, I went to the WC convention in Hamburg. It's probably the first I spoke about or on this pod, like doing it live with someone. So, which was an amazing experience for me. It was my first ever convention. The WC obviously is the best of them all. The who's who were there, Michael Mora and Carlos Zarate, Terence Crawford, Sean Porter, Mike Garcia, Lennox Lewis, Klitschko, everyone. And anyway, me and Bud, I'd met him once before, but I mean, we just clicked and we swapped numbers. We went and done a thing, me, him, and Blair Cobbs and Billy Dibb and Scott Nichols. We went and done a thing with the orphans in Hamburg, which was amazing to get back to the kids. They were so excited to see everyone, and I didn't really feel worthy of being there. And when they were leaving, they get on the bus to go, the minivan, I said, have a good time. And the guy that was doing the organising, he said, oh, no, you're coming, Mexican guy. And I said, oh, no, I'm not worthy of being with them. He goes, no, you're an ex-fighter. You come. So I went along and, I took pads with the orphan kids. We gave them hats. We gave them gloves. And I got them doing the Boombayah chant, you know what I mean? But Badu Jack was there too. It was beautiful.
Yeah, nice.
Anyway, coming back on there was just me, Bud, and Blair Cobbs, who's a great guy. Had him on my podcast recently. Shout out to Blair. Woo! But yeah, me and Crawford talking, and we swapped numbers, and then we just started. Yeah, like he hit me up. Hey, do you want to meet me in the lobby? We'll go to the shops, which meant Louis and Gucci and all that. Cruising with the man, and he's been recognised in Foot Locker and places. But I started sort of he's happy to sign. He's happy to take photos and that. But when he was getting fully harassed, I was starting stepping a bit like his bodyguard. And we're having lunch one day, and people come up asking autographs, and he's happy to do it. I said, "Look, guys, let him finish his lunch first, and then he'll come to you. But like, just be respectful." And he's like, he liked it. He reckons I remind him of a guy. And I think I mentioned this to you. The last guy to beat was Grover Wiley, the last guy to beat Julio Cesar Chavez.
Yeah.
He grew up with him. He was a bit older than him. He was a bit of a street guy.
Grover Wiley, yeah.
He said, I remind him like a bit of a ready to go, sort of a bit of a knock around. He rang him. Grover, he goes, I'm with this Australian guy, reminds you of you. And but yeah, so I mean, that was really good. And we just clicked and I mentioned, look, he should come out to Australia, and we've been in conversations ever since and called him a few times since then to lock it in, and we're getting it done. So it's going to be Melbourne, Sydney, Gold Coast. I'm really looking forward to that. But back to as I said, look, I believe he can do it against Canelo. I believe that it's a massive fight. I think it's a Raylan Hagler.
Yeah.
That he can steal the rounds and going into his competitive. That's the reason I mentioned about being competitive. I talked to him. I said, "You like the NBA?" Because I know he likes his basketball. He said, "Yeah, and I think he said he said the Lakers, or he likes LeBron." And I was, we're doing a bit of an argument about LeBron and Jordan, because obviously LeBron's more his era, and I'm an MJ fan. I don't think there's any discussion about it. I think Michael Jordan is the GOAT of GOATs, but anyway, and we're talking about basketball. I said, can you play a bit? And he goes, yeah. And I said, you want to play what I want? And he just looked, his demeanour changed. He goes, I'll fuck you up. And I'm like, hang on, bud. I didn't say spar you. I didn't say fight you. I just said play some one-on-one. And he automatically changed. And I remember the Maloney boys said about playing table tennis with him at a top-ranked gym. And he's very competitive. And I think Andrew Maloney might have beat him once. And Andrew actually said, I let him win the next one because I would have been there all night. He said, he's very competitive. That was just a funny little story about how his demeanour changed. Like, I'll fuck you up. Like, hey, yeah.
Oh, that's the spirit he has.
Yeah.
So I've heard of him getting caught in like pool halls for hours.
Yeah.
Just because he can't take.
Yeah.
He can't take losing. So like I think it was Bomax said, if they're playing cards and he loses, he'll keep him there all night until he gets one more win. Another
story. They're in the lobby because the conventions. You just hang around the lobby and it's pretty cool, And anyway, we're just there, and Sean Porter, Terence Crawford, Amir Khan, who's the super featherweight guy? There was there too. He got revenge against the Brazilian, against
Shaki Foster.
Shaki Foster. They're there and they're playing some game. I think it's an American game called Spades.
Yeah.
Anyway, they were getting right into it there, and then there was some and Bob was getting pretty loud, like him and Bob. I'm just there watching and video, and Billy Dibb was there hanging out too. It's just in the lobby there, but he's a competitive guy. But it was pretty cool to spend time with him. We've done a bit of shadow boxing together, which people have seen on Instagram.
And we're going to change your box rec to 8-1. I think that's your first professional hour.
Well, first 12 years retired. My first opponent is Bud Crawford. How the hell am I going to do any good? You know what I mean? But But anyway, look, I'm going to update everyone, guys, when he's locked in to come, and I hope everyone in Australia supports it. And as I said, there's big plans this year, Mike. I just want to mention my own show, March 15th at the Hobart City Hall, called Fight Cancer, in honour of my mother, Cheryl Brown, who passed away August 30th, and she's with me every day, every second, every moment. All my trips away, recently in Hamburg, and in Russia, and Chechnya, in Saudi. For Furiously 2, I felt her presence. Yeah. I felt her. When I spoke to Prince Nazim Hamed, who's one of my favourite fighters, we spoke about he's losing his mum recently, like a couple of years ago, and me and my mum, and he gave me a hug, and he said, I see strength in you, and your mother, looks down on you every day, and I'm thinking, geez, the Prince is giving me, advice, and just amazing. So it's in honour of my mother, March 15th, City Hall. We're doing a big donation to Peter Mac Hospital, which Mum always said, if you ever do another fundraiser, do it for Peter Mac. I've seen firsthand what they do for people every day, as I was in there for 2 weeks every day with my mother, and they do it for so many people. And everyone's obviously lost someone or has been, known someone's lost someone through cancer. So it's a big show. I've got Anthony Mundine out of retirement, believe it or not, the man, and he's doing an exhibition with the Prince. There's only one Prince, mind you, and that's the Melbourne-based kickboxing 2-time world champion, undefeated Prince. And but he's Mundine's doing it in honour of my mum. He said, look, I loved your mum and I'm doing it for her. And we're going to, it's a great fight night. I've got Sabie Wills, Joe Corner, Braden Blackerby, Dave Eaton. I've got my boy Shauno versus Dado. I've got Jack Unwin. I've got, so many great fighters on the show, plus amateurs, Liam McKenzie, Thomas Barker. And March 15th, Mikey, Fight Cancer it's called. And, I'm really pumped to have that show. And the amount of people, that's contacting me, and the tickets are already flying out the door. It's only been announced a week today. I done the press conference. Yeah,
and I'm glad that you. Firstly, I'm glad you're back promoting, of course, in Tassie, because I think that you've given a lot of young fighters in that part of our country opportunities that wouldn't have necessarily been there, because it always takes someone to take the step to be promoting events, promoting the sport, and giving people the platform. It's not like all the names you mentioned. A lot of these kids, they're kids that need these local shows to build and build their profiles, build their confidence, and build their professional careers to then hopefully better opportunities. So, that's firstly, something wonderful you're doing. Secondly, I'm glad that you followed your mother's advice, because I know that it was tough, man. I know when you're going through that loss, the adjustments, there's significant adjustments obviously you had to make in your life. But I'm glad that you took the right path, which is to really, with every step forward in your life, to honour your mum, because she was a special woman. Like the moments I got to spend sitting there with her and talking, everything with her within her heart really beamed for you. She wanted to see the best for you, Taz. And it used to stun me. Like, I'd be talking about like old fights, fighters my dad trained in like the 80s and worked with on state teams in the 90s, and she knew everyone. I was like, how is this even possible? Like to see, the fight world's a weird world, because usually when a woman crosses over into the fight world, the automatic assumption is they can't be gentle, they can't be this, they can't be nurturing, because why would they be drifting into that world? But obviously because of your father, who was a great boxing man too. That's what brought her across to that side, but she always remained gentle. Yeah. And, like for her to see what you've been doing, how you've been impacting other people, to see you chasing your dreams around the world, man, she'll be proud of you.
Yeah, no, I know that, Mike. I know you only told me something in Japan. I'm trying not to hold my emotions here, but something she said to you, I think I might have been in the bathroom or something, and she said, what did she say? Like, always look out for him, or what was it? Or
yeah, she said to me, look, just I'll worry about Grant. I'll worry about Grant, when I'm not going to be here. And she said, just please, be there for him, be there for him, little friend, and look out for him, look out for his best. Of which I just said to her, look, he's going to be okay. He's going to be okay no matter what. I know your strength. And, like, we're talking real now. But, like, for everything that everyone sees in your soul, which is a little bit brash and loud and out there, that's who you are. But I know the gentle Grant Brown. Yeah. I know the soft sides of you. I know the caring sides of you. Yeah. And that's why, like I've always said to you, I'm going to try to perk you up now a little bit because I have to. But, like, if I had to choose my army for war, I know you're one of the first people coming with me because you're real and you're there and you're present. Yeah. So, people in life can cast judgments on temperament or personality, but usually that's just them looking in a mirror and not understanding what's staring back at them. Yeah. But if you look beyond, what people might see as the exterior, and look at the heart and look at the goodness. All that goodness is in you, man. And that's what I value.
No, thanks, Mike. Look, as I said, people, look, Mum was my world, and obviously it's been so hard to go on without her. I'm only going on 5 months, so it's still very fresh. But look, what she said to you, Mike, she said to Lou Jackson, she said to Billy Hussein, she said to Wayne Howlett, she said to my cousin Nick McWilliams, I think she said to Wayne's brother Sean Howlett, she said the same thing, look after Grant, because I don't know how long I've got. So she knew
Yeah.
that that she probably wasn't going to be around much longer. So it was she was planning things without me knowing it. She was telling people
That's a genuine,
without
selfless mentality.
without me knowing, and I just sort of So that doesn't surprise me. Everything in her life was me. She told my partner. Obviously my partner sort of held a few things from me because she's obviously she said look, and she knows I picked a great partner. So she said to me, never lose her because I've got an amazing fiance. But she obviously said to always look out for him. So she knew the end was near, and but yeah. So look, it was it's tough every day, but as I said, I'm blessed to have the mother I had, and nothing made me more proud than if I was doing a promotion or on the news doing an interview, or the recent stuff I've been doing in Saudi interviewing people. Nothing made her more proud.
So that's what has to keep pushing your legacy.
Yeah, and that's what I'm doing. I was worried, and I won't go into too much, but I was worried about how I would react, and those that do know me know that I can be a bit loose, and I can have a temper. I think a lot of most people have something that they're not happy about. I'm not happy about having a temper. Yeah, I'm very honest. But the thing is, and my dad, had a bad temper, so I get it off Dad, who was a legend, but he had a bad temper. But the thing is, I didn't know how I would handle it. I always saw it when before Mum died, how am I going to handle it? Yeah. One day you're going to be on your own. How are you going to handle it? Are you going to hate the world? Are you going to try and fight everyone? Are you going to, just go down a self-path of destruction? Are you going to go out guns blazing like Young Guns, like, the Bon Jovi song Blaze of Glory? Had all these pictures in my head, and maybe I watched too much Scarface, but I actually pictured out going that way. Like Tony Montana, I did, and then I thought, that's not what my mum or my dad wanted for you. They gave their life for you to have the best life, to do everything. So it'd be disrespectful if I went and ruined my legacy now. So the opposite's happened. I'm positive. I'm in a great headspace. The trips to Saudi, interviewing the Furies, the Bivels, the Usyks, the Clarence Crawfords, going to Japan in a way to do my 22nd promotion on March 15th in honour of my mother for cancer, with Mundine and all the boys, to look at doing the WC convention in 226 with Marisa Suleiman, which I'm putting the plans in for that, to be the first Australian to ever bring it to Australia, to do the Bud Crawford, appearance and dinner in Australia. I'm mixed up with the Manny Pacquiao one as well in March here, which they contacted me. But I'm buzzing at the moment, Mike, and I know my mum's. She's smiling, she's proud, and I felt her in Saudi. I felt her presence, and I just know that this is what she wanted. So I'm doing the right thing rather than the wrong thing. I could have easily went down that path because people got no idea what was going through my head, no idea. But I've done it the good way, the positive way.
I'm glad and proud as a friend you took the path of accountability.
Yeah,
because like you said, emotionally things can get you really twisted up, especially when you're going through loss, when you're going through readjustments of what your perception of the world is going to be. Yeah, and I think especially when we look at things like cancer, because it don't discriminate. And so it's very easy to have the mindset to feel the loss of why this good person, why this angel gone. Yeah. But then there's other people doing wrong in the world.
There's junkies, there's pedophiles, there's people that can live to. Oh yeah, that's right. It's easy. Oxygen thieves.
It's easy to look at.
That's how I was. And you get bitter and angry then.
But the best way in life to pave your path is always to look at everything with appreciation, and look at all the years, all the great attributes she instilled into you. And doing her legacy proud means also doing yourself proud. Yeah. So carrying her spirit, carrying her mentality, carrying her goodness, carrying her positivity, her love, her care, her understanding of other individuals through every step in your life. And I'm proud of you because I see you doing that now, mate.
Yeah, mate. Look, I said this year's a takeover, and I'm not talking about Teo Lopez. I'm not being arrogant, but this year is a takeover. I'm on fire, and and I won't. I just want to be the biggest person I can be in boxing internationally. I was a handy fighter. I was I've been a manager, promoter, trainer, and now I'm in the media. But I just want to blow it up. I prefer to be respected internationally like I am than in Australia. I mean, I do have respect in Australia, obviously, but like internationally, the people that I'm negotiations with, the people I'm talking to, that's and you've been on this journey for a while, Mike, a lot longer than me. But I prefer to have that respect from them guys and don't worry about here. So like I'm doing big things. I just say just watch this space because I'm planning to pretty much take over the world. And if you don't dream big, you don't. If you don't dream big, always say dream it, believe it, achieve it. Even if this never happens, but at least I'm going to attempt to do things. I'm dreaming it. At least you got to have the ambition and the drive to do it. Yeah. And I just know that in this game, I know what I'm doing, and I've got the gift, and I've got the knowledge, and I don't care about asking. I'll ask. I'll ask the question. Ask Maricela Suleiman, can I do the WC convention? I'll ask the question. I don't ask about going to Inoue's dressing room. I just done it, but I will push the envelope. I just, you know what I mean.
You brought us back there.
I just done it, you know what I mean. But look, that's the thing, Mike, and and that's the thing. So there's big things coming.
Yeah. And
I really appreciate your support. And but what next for you, mate? Where are we off to next? What you got so many fighters. I mean, you've really bounced back, and it's not about all wins. I mean, like. You gave a young kid an opportunity to change his life, and I mean, what's next for you and your fighters?
Yeah, I mean, we've got a lot coming up on the schedule. So I have a Mozambican Olympian who's based in Brisbane, Tiago Muksanga.
I heard he's a beast.
Junior middleweight, yeah, absolute beast, and he's getting better. He's still understanding the adjustments from amateur to pro, slowing it down. So I have him turning professional in early March. He's one absolutely to look out for. I have a Nigerian girl, 21 years of age.
I heard she's a beast as well.
She's a beast as well. she's got a right hand like a meat cleaver.
What's her name again, Mike?
Blessing Bakola Dada.
Okay.
Everyone's going to remember the name in a few more fights.
I heard a lot about her in Japan.
Once we start placing her against the top tier Australian fighters, but she's coming through. So that's those two that I have like in Thailand in early March. I have, of course, Matteo Tapia back on Big No Limit show, Jarvis versus Keith Thurman show on March 12th.
I'll be there. We interviewed Brock the other day. Yep.
So Matteo's coming back then. Of course, TJ Doheny back from Inoue for all the bouts at 122 to Nick Ball for the WBA world title.
Who's a beast?
On March
Nick
15
yep.
in Liverpool. And TJ's up for the fight, man. We started camp early on this one. We have plenty of notice, and we're coming to shock the world there in Liverpool, UK, in his hometown. So we have that. I mean, the rest of my camp, we've got loads of activity. Jack Bowen fighting again on March 1 on Fox Sports. Just building the local fights. We've got some announcements looking to come for Rowan Murdoch soon.
Yep.
Internationally, of course, there's, Nishida, Ryosuke Nishida, our 118 bantamweight world champ IBF.
Is he the one I met the other day and asked you?
That's the one who doesn't. He speaks 2 words of English. Thank you. That's it.
I got a photo with him, and I said, "What's his name again, Mike?" That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So we've been in discussions about a unification against Junto Nakatani, which will be a great all-Japanese fight. But I think we've got to handle our mandatory against Jose Sala first.
Because Nakatani fights soon too, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's fighting Feb 24.
And Jace Maloney's on the undercard against Tekken.
Tension. That's a real main event.
Let's go, Jace Maloney. I really want to go shout out to Tony Tolge, good friend of mine, and we had a good catch up in Saudi. We had a good chat, and obviously Jace Maloney, mate, let's go, Jace. He's very well respected in Japan, Jason, and I really hope he gets up for this and he's back in the world title mix.
Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting fight. It's a great cross.
But a win will definitely.
A win will catapult him back into another world title.
100%. So it's pretty much make or break.
Especially with the Japanese fighters carrying all the belts at 180. Yeah. So you'd think guaranteed. Yeah. But yes, I've got that. I'm actually going to take a little bit of travel, some business moves. I can't announce them yet. But on the back end of this year, there's going to be some significant developments in the sport. Mm-hmm. And I'm working on some of those plans. That's all I can say right now. Yep. But Man, I feel so alive. I feel so happy.
Me too. I'm so...
I wake up every day pumping with energy.
It's good.
Because I know what the darkness feels like.
Well,
and so to now be in the situation that everything's in, where things are aligning with the talent, things have aligned in my life. You know, there's so much great opportunities, so many wonderful people I'm working with. That fuels me every single day. So I'm just looking forward to months ahead. I've got you know, a load of travel coming up in the next couple months. So I might have to, I'm sorry, Taz, but from afar I might have to needle you about Inoue, but I won't be able to do it in person. But, you know, you might be receiving at 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning random videos from random karaoke halls all around the world, absolutely leathering you with some strangers.
Well, guess what? I will actually love that. So please do it. Just on that note, Mike, and I want to say this to everyone that's watching, about being in the darkness, how important men's mental health is. And I've been there. You know, obviously said losing my father to cancer in 2019, to lose my mother to cancer in 2024, to having you know, some adversity early on in my life, to, you know, having times where, you know, where you break up with a girlfriend, or you know, something happens in boxing where you maybe don't make a team that you dreamed about, or whatever, don't make the Olympics, or you know, and what I try and always tell people that, you know, you just never give up. You know, you never give up in life. You're only one phone call away, you know, to ring a friend, to ring a family, to ring anyone, to ring a stranger and talk about it, because the next day is a new day. When the sun rises the next day, it's a new day. And then, you know, your luck can change just like that. So all you got to do, when I tell people, you know, a lot of friends that have been suicidal, and I've spoke to them, you just hang in there for anyone. And you know, and I'm sure you agree, Mike, you know, when you are in the darkest times, you know, that your life can change like that for the positive. You just got to hang in there and be around friends and good people. And there's only a few people that will be there. But don't be scared to reach out to someone, guys. And, you know, this is from the bottom of my heart, because I've been in some dark places, and, you know, and but, you know, the fact that, you know, you can sort of have that spirit that, you know, instead of saying, why me, say, try me, you know, just say, fuck it. I'm not going to give up on life. I'm not going to give up on nothing, and you know, and just keep fighting. And she's not over till the bell is gone, Mike, and I'm sure you can elaborate, you know, agree that, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter what darkness you're in, you get out of it.
Well, I think that the two greatest predicators and proponents of people feeling overwhelmed when they're going through difficult times is these two sentiments, and one of them is helplessness. So feeling like you don't know who to talk to, where to turn, and the other one is hopelessness. And they're different trains of thought. So hopelessness is not feeling like there's a way out, not feeling like there's a pathway forward, not feeling like there's anywhere you belong. And I think that everything, all betterment starts with discourse. It starts with speaking to other people. If you don't have the strength to speak to other people, write it down. Get your emotions out. Start working through those processes. And just know, like I said at the presser the other week with Jun, you know, for all kids around the world going through troubled times, you know, the one guarantee we know in life is the sun always rises, and there will be a better tomorrow. So, you know, hang in there and speak out, talk to other people. I think now things are a lot better with men's mental health. I think there's more of a sense of,
you know, it's not weak to speak.
Yeah, feel at home to actually lean on someone and speak and talk about where you are.
Yeah,
with things mentally.
Because men never, back in the day, my dad's day, they would never talk to anyone about anything. There was that persona of being a man. You're weak if you speak about your feelings, but it's not weak. It's actually it's courage. It takes strength to.
Absolutely.
Yeah, to talk about your feelings. I mean, I just almost broke down in tears just recently about my mum, but I don't care whoever sees this. You know what I mean? It's just raw emotion.
I think that,
because I'm human.
I think the other thing, like the other bit of advice I probably got through, obviously, you know, going through some significant hardships on my side of the fence, but also, you know, being someone that just tries to kind of, with anyone in my life, actually do my utmost to be real and actually be present and walk the talk rather than speaking it. I think that when people are going through low times and they find the courage to talk to you, you've got to hear everything they say without judgment. That's the first step. And I think that the second step on top of that is that you don't have to have the solutions. A lot of times people just want to be heard. They don't want to be judged. But they also know, we know in our heart our friend's not going to have all the solutions for us. But it's about having the courage to be heard. A lot of times when things are going wrong in someone's life, maybe they're doing things that in their soul they don't feel particularly proud of. And so to conjure the strength to speak that and then straight away feel judgment on that or feel slighted, that's just going to force them to gravitate further away.
100%.
And probably sink lower. And I think that that's the best advice. You got to also understand if anyone's low and down, then they're nowhere near their full potential. And you got to look at it and do your utmost not to judge them on where they are or how they're feeling. Because again, the sun can rise, and when the life comes back into them and they're able to find whatever that balance is to just keep strengthening day by day by day, you'll see it was only a passing moment in history. And I think that that's the thing. You can't look at people as being cemented with where they are. I think that we all have different sides of our personality that can either take us on a positive or negative. And like they say, it's a wolf that you feed in this world. But when someone's feeling that helplessness and hopelessness, the ability to comprehend and cognitively choose which wolf to feed is a monstrous battle, man.
Yeah.
And I think that we need to be better understanding without judgment and just be there to support and listen and hear.
Totally agree, brother. As I said, like, and even on movies, like you see AA meetings or whatever, like you can't judge in the group, you're not meant to judge. So that's the whole thing, man. Just be there for your friends. And before we finish up, Mike, let's just, I want to go over and get your opinions on a few big domestic fights. Yeah. So we've got the Brock Jarvis Thurman fight. How do you think that one plays out? And what do you think about the whole, the show and the fact that Thurman's coming to Australia?
I think it's created a bit of a buzz just because it's such a left field fight. Obviously, I have Matteo Tapia as one of the 3 headline fights on that event. So I think it's going to be a terrific show in Sydney. You have to roll with Thurman, naturally bigger guy. I know Jarvis looks monstrous at the weight, but Thurman has had significant success at 47 and 54. Jarvis's real best success was at like 122 to 130 realistically. And even though he's massive at the weight and Thurman's been out 3 years, I just got to strongly favour Thurman in that fight. I think that the quality, he's got to be preserved to an extent. I think the quality is going to supersede what he's facing. But again, we talk about intangibles. The intangible is the layoff. Jarvis, a younger, fresher guy fighting at home.
Definitely.
That's what makes it interesting. But I would favour Thurman.
Do you think that, I interviewed Brock Jarvis, I'm going to upload it, I think tomorrow. Do you think what No Limit's doing, bringing Thurman out, who was meant to fight Tim Tszyu last year, bringing him out, putting him in against a pretty well-known Australian, being Brock Jarvis is one of the bigger names. Yeah. Obviously, being a good young fighter, and obviously being with Jeff Fennick, he's one of the more well-known names in Australian boxing. Yeah. Do you think they think, we'll see how Brock goes, that Brock wins? There's plenty of domestic fights. There's Nikita Tszyu, that'd be huge. There's a lot of other guys, or then there's America might even be calling for Brock. It's a win-win. If Thurman wins, this is what I said to Brock, are they thinking Thurman beats you and then Tim Tszyu fight back here later on in the year, because Thurman then has come to Australia, got the Aussies interested, knocked off a fellow Aussie, and then he's there for Tim Tszyu. And then Brock sort of said, I think that's what they're thinking. So what's your opinion on that, Mike? That's just my...
Yeah, I think it's smart business.
Yeah, so if Brock wins, they've got a new star. He moves on to a big fight. I reckon the Nikita Tszyu fight would be massive then. Yeah. If he loses, Thurman's a name in Australia if you don't know him already, and then he has the fight with Tim Tszyu. He wants hopefully all good with Tim winning his next fight.
Puts the winner in a really strong position within their fold, given the other fighters that they currently have within their stable.
I don't think the win means much in America to Thurman, but I think it would lead to a Tim Tszyu fight here.
Yeah, which
Yep.
again,
Yep.
that'll be a good box office fight.
Yeah. Let's move on then to Tim Zoo's. Actually, before then, George Gambosis
Now Jordan.
back here in Australia against a former world champion. Matchroom show, Eddie Hearn, Scott Nicholson on the show, obviously, and there's a few other Neeks Johnson on the show.
Heavyweight
Tarawana, who's one of the best prospects there is. I think he definitely could be definitely one of our better big men. What do you think about that though? Gambosis against this guy, and what's your opinion?
It's a good fight. Dal Jordan, I know he's like older as well. He's been around since forever ago, but he's still pretty dangerous and still brings the heat. He's physically strong. I'd back Kambosos to outbox him over the rounds. I think it'll go the distance, but it'll be competitive. Just not sure it's a huge fight in terms of what it's going to attract audience-wise, but I could be wrong. Maybe Kambosos coming back, to Sydney, that kind of fight. Maybe it can find the way to kind of translate to securing good tickets and audience and that. It's just not. It wasn't the fight I was expecting him to come back on, but I think it's a good competitive fight.
If anyone, look, I'm not saying it's an easy fight at all because the guy's the next world champion, but if anyone deserves a bit of a find your feet fight, it's George. I mean, he fought Teo Lopez. He went into a fight against Devin Haney. Went into a rematch with Devin Haney. Then he fought good fighter, Maxi Hughes, who just had a good win, who's got a big fight soon. Yeah. And then he fights Lomachenko. So George had nothing but before the bloody TO fight, there was the good fighter from England,
Lee Selby
and Mickey Bates. I mean, if anyone deserves a bit of a find your feet fight, it's George.
Oh, I agree.
And I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but he deserves a bit of a find your feet fight.
I just look at commercially what Matchroom's trying to do in Australia. I'm not sure that fight card is going to translate to what they're hopeful of.
Yeah. Is it a stadium?
Stadium level show. I'm not sure it's going to draw that kind of interest or crowd, but I would love to be wrong because more Aussie boxing soaring.
Well, I'll be there covering that.
The better our sport is.
I'll be there with Nick Noonan, Australian Boxing Central, FightHot.com, and shout out to Nick Noonan, one of the best guys in the business, very involved in the Tupac and Biggie murders, and he's got some serious street cred in LA from his time living there. And I know Keefe, what's his name, Keefe G, or the one that's in jail at the moment. He's I don't think he's too happy with Nick at the moment. The bloke who's one of the Tupac guys involved in the Tupac hit. But before we finish, Mike, the Tim Tszyu comeback. August 6th, I believe, in Newcastle. He's back at Tszyu Castle.
April 6th, yeah.
April 6th, Tszyu Castle. Decent opponent he's fighting. He's only had one loss to Ramos. Strong. And how do you think Tim's going to go there?
Yeah, well, he's facing Joey Spencer. I think it's a perfect opponent. I think it's a good opponent. It's someone within the fabric of the PBC system, who, of course, No Limit are strongly aligned with. So it'll have a bit of interest in the United States, but I think also it's a young kid. He looks the part. He's going to be bringing the work rate. He's going to be bringing punch volume early, but I don't think there's anything threatening in terms of punching power wise or speed or slickness or skills. I think it's a good opponent for Tim, who's going to be tough and durable and present, but it's the right fight for Tim to bounce back on and start to elevate his stock again.
I'm really looking forward to seeing Tim back.
Me too, man.
And as I said, I believe in him. 1,000,000%. I spoke to him a few days ago. I'll be up there watching him and covering it, and obviously supporting Tim, and look forward to getting over this one. And then and then moving on to where he should be, back fighting at the highest level in America. And I'm just really excited that this is a good homecoming. And that he gets back in the winners column, and then if it fulfills his destiny, which I believe, getting another world title and going down history as one of Australia's best fighters.
Yeah, I hope Tim gets back on track this one too. I think he will. Like I said, I think it's the right opponent. Just be good to see him get through this one, have one more, and then elevate and step up and fight whoever there is, line up and sign up. I would love to see that Fundora rematch, but I think it's something that needs to be.
Well, he hasn't got an opponent. He's there. The Errol Spencer workout. He's just there. He's 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 in no man's land at the moment. He's got the belts, but he don't think there's anyone mentioned. So for Fundora at the moment.
Yeah, I still think though, Tim, like the process of what was outlined before is a perfect one.
Yeah.
Joey Spencer, Thurman beats Jarvis, Thurman, and then let him off the leash again. Go and take a significant opportunity. And I think that, you know, a lot of people, boxing's a crazy world. I remember the last time I was here with you, we talked about Joe Parker and, you know, the renaissance of Joe Parker. Now, of course, he's fighting Dubois for the heavyweight world championship. You know, a year and a half ago, he was being ridden off. You know, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, he's being ridden off. Look at Tim Tszyu. For all the people talking about he's a soul taker, is this. On the back end of Murtazaliev, now they're completely discounting his legacy. And usually the truth sits somewhere in the middle. It's not all the hyperbole, but it's not all the doom and gloom. And I think that with Tim, you know, these adversities should push him and drive him harder to become a better fighter, a smarter fighter, a more cerebral fighter, because that's really what he made his name on the way up. And I just hope he gets back to his core fundamentals because they'll serve him beautifully.
100%, Mike. Well said. I just want to give a shout out to Royal Curator, Nick, one of the best in the business. Anyone wants a video, anyone wants to pump their business, anyone wants to, you know, boost their business for social media, he's, mate, I swear by him, he's unbelievable. He was involved with Hit Fit the other day with Tim Tszyu through Darcy Ellis out there. He's right behind the Ellis boys and definitely one of the best in the business, Mike. I know he's done some stuff for you, but I can't speak any more highly of the guy. So anyone that's out there that wants to, you know, get really good quality videoing done, Nick from Royal Curator, hit him up.
Videoing or photography too. I know that
he takes some good photos.
There's a number of my professional events where I just gave Nick like just a little hint of. I remember, so there was one show. There's an international fighter rolled up, no trunks or anything, right? And they said to me, "Oh, he needs a mouth guard, he needs trunks, he needs this." It's just a lot of these fighters that are part timers, but they come in and rescue our events. So I had these old Lonsdale trunks in the cupboard. I was like, let me have some fun with these. So I put on them a NWA patch and a Chuck Norris patch. I gave Nick a heads up. I said, please get me a nice shot of the NWA patch. It was only like a 5-second conversation. The fight went a round and a half, and he had about 4 perfect shots of that patch in flight during the contest.
That's awesome.
That's the quality of him as a photographer.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
I think that, and that's the thing. You know, he's someone you can give the vision, and then know that he's going to
let him run with it.
But then also on the filmmaking, like you said, we made a short film last November,
mate, in Greensboro, in your home area.
The cinematography was a masterpiece. There's got to be a word for that. What is it? I don't know.
Anyway, did he get the milk bar, the Greenboro milk bar?
This is me getting stuck with some tongue twisters. No, there was. We actually walked underneath the milk bar. We actually walked underneath the milk bar.
Was that you with a basketball? Just walking
along?
along?
It was me with the tennis ball. So
the tennis ball.
I have a process where I get fidgety where I just carry a ball. So we were shooting some B-roll with the tennis ball, and I literally bounced the ball onto my foot and it went all the way onto the highway. I said, "Oh, we can't put that in." See, and that's what I'm saying. That's his quality as a filmmaker. He listened to me. See, I never made the final cut.
Was a really nice photo. I think it was you and a sparrow on a tree. It was like a real gentle, but he captured the moment or something like that. I think
me and a sparrow. No, it was me trying to chase a cockatoo.
That's right.
Could you imagine? Yeah. Could you imagine if the thing didn't run away and it just pecked me? It would have half killed me.
Oh dear.
I was trying to recreate the scene from Rocky. You know, he's chasing the chicken.
Yeah.
Chasing a cockatoo, probably not a good idea.
Nah, it's not a good idea.
Those things can bend screwdrivers.
100%.
Imagine what it would have done if it pecked my face.
Yeah.
RIP, man.
I know. But anyway, Mike, I just want to say thank you again for being on Ringside Seat with Tassie. It's always an honour. We're back by popular demand because a lot of people like our knowledge of boxing, the fact that it just flows because we are good friends, but we both got insight into the game that not many people get to, I guess, the level we've been at. In due respect to both our fields, we've both been at a pretty decent level in boxing, and there's not much we don't know about the sport, past or present. You can't talk to Mike unless you mention Harry Greb, one of the greatest fighters of all time, and obviously Benny Leonard, one of the greatest lightweights of all time. So he knows his history, I know my history, and yeah.
Yeah, above all that, man, You're just a good human, man. So it's always a pleasure to sit here with
Same
you.
to you, Mike. I appreciate that, brother.
And yeah, I look forward to the next time. First ever 4-time guest coming up.
But before we go, why was Tazzy with Inoue? Tell me why was he in the change? Was it Inoue?
Nah, that's not good. Tell me why. It's another Tazzy Brown
mistake.
Tell me why.
Why was you with Inoue? Mic drop. Boom. We're out.